Welcome to DM the Mists, covering all things Curse of Strahd and Ravenloft. This is part 2 of my deep dive into the new monsters in Ravenloft Horrors Within, the new Ravenloft sourcebook that ties into the 5.5e 2024 rules. In the first video I covered Death's Head Tree, Elder Thing, Gug, Migo, Mist Horror, Mist Wanderer, and Mordenheim's Monster, and in this one I am going to cover Nightgaunt, Relentless Nightmare, Shoggoth, Strahd Skeleton, Waxwork, Yithian, and as a bonus I'm going to cover the Weathermay-Foxgrove Twins, Gennifer and Laurie. And let's get stuck in with the Nightgaunt. First thing I want to say, I love that art. As soon as I saw it I was like, whoa, cool. Its flavor text says they are gargoyle-like fiends, which is a bit weird because they're actually aberrations, not fiends or whatever gargoyles are, elementals I think. And they are large and challenge rating 8. Flavor text says they soar over subterranean mountain ranges and the skies of alien worlds, so Underdark or any cosmic horror place could be a good fit for them, maybe even Spelljammer. And it also says these hunters are infamous for abducting victims and dropping them from incredible heights. This gets better with every line I read, I'm not going to lie. They have good stats, especially dexterity. They have the flyby trait, which means they don't trigger opportunity attacks, so you don't need to disengage when moving away from people. And their multi-attack is 2 attacks, using Claw and Barb in any combo, but they can replace one with Ascend. Claw, slashing and poison damage, and the target is auto-grappled. Barb is a 60-foot ranged attack, doing 6d6 piercing damage, and the target is poisoned until the end of its next turn. And Ascend, and I quote, "The Nightgaunt flies upward in a straight line, moving up to its fly speed. If the Nightgaunt is grappling a creature, it ignores the extra movement cost to carry the creature with it." Now, I think this means it can move normally and then do this. So it can almost move double in a turn as long as it meets the criteria. So, for example, it flies 40 feet maybe towards a PC, grabs them through the attack that grapples them, and then they can move up to their speed again, so they can move another 40 feet straight up into the air in the same turn. You have a bonus action called Tickle, okay. It's wisdom saving throw, can only be done on a grappled creature when they're grappling, and if the target fails, they're incapacitated until the start of the Nightgaunt's next turn. Incapacitated means they can't take actions, bonus actions, reactions. So its tactics. It'll use Barb if it's too far away to do a claw attack. It'll do a claw attack and try and grapple someone, then it'll Ascend if they've got someone grappled. Bonus action Tickle. It'll let go of them, that's a free action, it can just let go. As per the flavor text, it likes to sort of fly up in the air and drop them, and then they will take 4d6 falling damage from having fallen 40 feet. And if Tickle was successful, they can't self-cast Featherfall, because they can't take reactions, but other people could, so if someone else is fine, they might cast it instead. And just do that, rinse, repeat. And it never needs to disengage, as it has flyby, so it can do Ascend without any worries. Number 9. This is number 2 in this video, but number 9 overall, because I did 7 in the first video. Number 9, Relentless Nightmare. A new Relentless monster joining the Relentless Slasher and Relentless Juggernaut. There's also, if you don't know, a Relentless Impaler in Vecna Eve of Ruin. So there's actually 4 of them, but there's only 3 in the Horrors Within, including one new one. Flavor text for the Relentless Nightmare specifically. A Relentless Nightmare uses foul magic to put its victims into a fitful slumber before attacking them. If destroyed, a Relentless Nightmare can reform from the dreams of any creature marked with its curse. It's a medium fiend, challenge rating 11. To put it in perspective, Slasher was an 8, Juggernaut was a 12. It has high stats all around, and it has 2 uses of legendary resistance. That's the whole thing where you can automatically succeed a saving throw that you fail. Nightmarish Restoration. If the nightmare dies, its body disappears into mist, and it gains a new body in 1d10 days, reviving with all its hit points in the nearest unoccupied space next to an unconscious creature cursed by its Haunter's Spear. This trait does not function if there are no remaining targets cursed in this way. I like this. It's a nice way for one of them to randomly reappear and cause more havoc, possibly at an unexpected, inconvenient time. It does say while the target's unconscious, so maybe during a long rest if you want to be mean. Multi-attack is 2 Haunter's Spear attacks, or it can replace one with Exhausting Gaze. Haunter's Spear is a either melee 10 feet or range 60 feet attack. Piercing and psychic damage, the target is cursed, and while it's cursed, taking a long rest can't reduce its exhaustion level if it's exhausted. And combo that with Exhausting Gaze, this is really cruel. It causes psychic damage and 1 level of exhaustion. And it has legendary actions as well. It can do 2 of them. It's got Dream Walk, which means it can teleport within 5 feet of a creature and do a Haunter's Spear attack straight away. Or Narcotize, target someone already cursed by his Haunter's Spear, take a small bit of psychic damage and they fall unconscious for an hour. until they take damage or someone wakes them up with an action. Tactics for this one, this is a difficult one. I guess they would prioritize Haunter's Spear initially until everyone's cursed. So it would fight target A, then it could use legendary action Dreamwalk to teleport next to target B and attack them, and so on. Then a mix of Exhausting Gaze to cause exhaustion if it's its turn, or Narcotize to make them full unconscious if it's got legendary actions left. And use Haunter's Spear on unconscious players thanks to Narcotize, so advantage on the attack and an auto critical hit if it's a hit. Number 10, Shoggoth. In my previous video, I said Shoggoths created Elder Things. It's actually the other way around, so sorry about that. I got confused by the wording on the Elder Things text. So Shoggoths were created by Elder Things, which also makes sense because Elder Things are more powerful. They have a higher challenge rating. They're a huge aberration that's challenge rating 11. High stats all around, except his charisma is -1. It just kind of lacks a little bit in charisma. Quoting from the flavor text, Shoggoths lurk in the ruins of their ancient cities and in hidden places across the multiverse. They tend to brood in remote, icy reaches, where their bodies are invigorated by the blistering cold. One domain of dread jumped out at me, Lamordia, which is like icy and snowy. The amphibious trait means they can live underwater, have a climb and swim speeds. Mimicry, like were-ravens, they can mimic stuff, but there's a check you can do to see if you realise it's real or fake. They've got a trait called Susceptible to Charm. They have disadvantage on saving throws to avoid or end the charm condition. That's really interesting. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that before. I wonder if it's flavour because of their relationship with Elder Things, which can cause auto charm with its attacks. Multi-attack, 3 pseudopod attacks. It can replace one with Suction Burst if available. Pseudopod is a melee attack of 10 feet range, bludgeoning and thunder damage plus auto-grappled, and it has 4 pseudopods so it can auto-grapple up to 4 different people at once. Suction Burst is a recharge ability. It's a strength saving throw from a grappled creature, or a creature grappled by it, to be more specific. And it's 4d10 thunder damage, and the target is repelled from the Shoggoth, no longer grappled, and they're pushed 30 feet away in a straight line, has a deafened and stunned conditions until the end of its next turn. I love it. That's like some sort of superpowered version of a Thunderwave spell. It's got a reaction called Cold Sprint. If it's subjected to cold damage, which it's immune to, it moves up to its speed and can make a pseudopod attack with advantage. Its tactics, it would just use Pseudopod and Suction Burst over and over. Unfortunately, it doesn't have any ranged attacks though, so creatures keeping their distance and attacking from a distance will be a burden to it, but Pseudopod does have a range of 15 feet. Number 11, Strahd Skeleton. Talked about these briefly in my video where I said, do you need the Horrors Within if you're running a Curse of Strahd game? Flavor text says they're known as Strahd Skeletons in recognition of the Lord of Barovia who first created them, and that vampires sometimes turn mortal service unworthy of the gift of vampirism into skeletal soldiers. That's cool flavor. So if Strahd or another vampire doesn't want this person to be a vampire spawn, he can create them into this instead. Medium undead, challenge rating 4. It's got decent stats, all above 12, or 12 and above, including intelligence and wisdom, so it's a smart undead as undead go. For comparison's sake, regular skeletons have an intelligence of 6. It's vulnerable to bludgeoning damage like regular skeletons, and it has the undead fortitude trait like regular zombies. That's the whole thing of, unless it's radiant damage or a critical hit, it does a saving throw and it could come back even if you knock it down to 0 HP. Multi-attack is 2 vampiric longsword attacks, but it can replace one with shield bash. Vampiric longsword is slashing and necrotic damage, and HP maximum is decreased by the necrotic amount. Like a vampire's bite, but without the HP regeneration from it. And Shield Bash, if they fail a saving throw, it's bludgeoning damage and knocked prone if it's a creature that's medium or smaller. So tactically, it makes sense for them to do Shield Bash first, and if it succeeds, they can do Vampiric Longsword with advantage. Again, no ranged attacks, so they're frontline fighters who are a bit screwed if they can't reach anyone within melee range. Maybe partner them up with things like regular skeletons and wights who have ranged attacks, bows and arrows. Where would you put these? Obvious option is Barovia. Whether you're not running Curse of Strahd and you just add Barovia into a domain hopping campaign, or just do a non-Curse of Strahd one-shot, or even if you are doing Curse of Strahd, just add them in. You could also go in Darkon. There's the Kargat and the Kargatane. There could be minions of them. That's like the vampire secret police. And having quickly flicked through the book, vampires are also mentioned in The Horrors Within, in the info for Innsmouth, Cartacus, Sithicus, Dominia, that's an island in the Sea of Sorrows, and Tovag. Number 12, Waxwork. I love the flavor text about how some believe they're real beings and even try to live normal lives as if they were a regular person. Medium or small construct, challenge rating 3. Really important thing I picked up on their stats is they have an intelligence of 1 and a charisma of 1. That's not +1, that's like 1, so like -5. They really are not intelligent or charismatic. And it says in their language info that they understand common but can't speak. So it's not like a doppelganger or a changeling, for example. In a way, it kind of makes them more scary because you can't reason with them. There's the whole thing in their lore that says that if they're confronted with the evidence of their true nature, they fly into a rage until it or its double is destroyed. Or it's just there's no reasoning. It can't understand or debate or whatever. Vulnerable to fire damage makes sense. They'll just melt. Resistant to all forms of bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing, even magical, is my interpretation. And they have lots of condition immunities. The meltable trait, if they take fire damage until the end of its next turn, its speed decreases by 20 feet, has disadvantage on saving throws. That's cool. Multi-attack, 2 sculpting knife attacks, and they've also got a ranged attack. Sculpting knife is a standard slashing attack, and wax lob, which is their ranged attack, deals bludgeoning damage, and the target's speed is decreased by 10 feet for a turn. So they can do sculpting knife twice, or wax lob once. It's a tongue twister. And as a bonus action, they can shapeshift, they can transform to a humanoid of its size or into its true form. If you want to mess with your players, maybe do this with some dwarves, halflings, gnomes, as well as standard human-sized people, because they might not expect them to come in different sizes. The tactics are pretty simple. They'll use sculpting knife twice if they're in melee range, otherwise they use wax lob. And where would you find them? Daemon Leo. Both Van Richten's Guide and The Horrors Within had info for the House of Wax Museum. I think they're a perfect fit for that. Maybe it's a side quest while your players are in Daemon Leo. They also appeared in the Dungeon Master's actual players and encounter while in Sithicus. That's episode 4 of the first season. It's about 1 hour in when the combat featuring them starts. I'll include a link in the description. Number 13, Yithian. Another Lovecraftian aberration. It's lore tied to Elder Things and Shoggoths. Its challenge rating 15, so slightly stronger than the Elder Thing, which is 14. Its flavor text says they are, and I quote, cosmic traveling scholars with distinctive conical bodies and 4 limbs that end in pincers, sensory structures, and flute-like communication organs. What did I just read? They like searching for secrets, so imagine one of these let loose in Barovia's Amber Temple, for example. That could be really interesting. And it says they swap minds with inhabitants of other worlds, sometimes indefinitely. When a Yithian swaps minds with a creature, it traps its victim's mind in the Yithian's body, which it teleports to its unfathomable, I can't say that word, alien home world. Unfathomable. That's better. High stats in everything but Dex, which is average. It's got magic resistance, which means it has advantage on saving throws against spells and magical attacks. Shielded Mind can't have its thoughts read, and people can only communicate with it telepathically if it allows it to. Multi-attack, 3 pincer attacks, or it can replace one with Sup. Pincer is piercing damage and auto-grapple. Doesn't say this in the stat block, but the flavor text says it has 4 pincers, so presumably it can grapple up to 4 different creatures at once. Sup. 1 creature within 10 feet that is grappled, incapacitated, or restrained. It's an intelligence saving throw, and if they fail, they take psychic damage, and HP max decreases by the equal amount, and the Yithian regains HP to that amount. So it's a bit like a vampire's bite, but psychic damage instead of necrotic. It's got a bonus action called Mind Swap. This is a big one. It's a recharge ability, intelligence saving throw from a humanoid. The Yithian can see within 5 feet of it, and if it fails, it is possessed. The Yithian disappears. The target is incapacitated and loses control of its body. There's a lot of info here I won't read out about the specifics of everything. And its possession lasts until the body drops to 0 HP or the Yithian leaves as a bonus action. And it says, and I quote, when the possession ends, the Yithian returns to its body, which appears within 5 feet of the target, and the target is stunned for 1 minute by alien memories. Quest idea could be that there's an NPC who becomes possessed by Yithian off screen and tries to lead the PC somewhere with knowledge that could be dangerous. Maybe there's some hints that they pick up on how their NPC for somebody they knew is behaving a little bit differently to how they usually do. And then the Yithian might appear at one point and there can be combat with it. Am I right in thinking that Dispel Even Good can't eject it? Aberrations aren't part of the list of creature types that Dispel Even Good can affect. I wonder if there's another way. Please let me know in the comments, because I know a lot of spells in D&D, but I don't know everything. So there might be some other way to get it out without having to do the 0 HP or bonus action thing. And Eldritch Magic, it can cast 2 spells a day from this list. Clairvoyance, Modify Memory, Phantasmal Killer, and Transport via Plants. It's got no ranged attacks except Phantasmal Killer. The spell can be cast at range. They can only cast it twice, but it is a concentration repeating spell, so it can be active for a while. Battle tactics, pincers mostly. Sup if someone's grappled and they need to restore some HP. Phantasmal Killer on a distant target. Mind Swap means it could possess a creature and attack through it, forcing the PCs to take down one of their allies. Then the Yithian could reattempt it on another if it's recharged, and keep doing that to bring everyone down one at a time, maybe. But you should note that passing the save or being possessed and then no longer being possessed means they're immune to it for 24 hours. And then transport via plants could be used to retreat potentially, so they can teleport to a plant they've seen or touched before on the same plane of existence, so in the same domain of dread, and hopefully the battle takes place near some plants so they can retreat through them. Beyond the Bestiary, these only appear in the book in the Body Horror Monsters table and the Cosmic Horror Monsters table, so as far as I can tell, they don't appear in the Innsmouth chapter or elsewhere. But I can see them probably belonging in Innsmouth alongside his friends or enemies, the Elder Things and the Shoggoths. And lastly, as a bonus, the Weathermay-Foxgrove Twins. I did a video all about this duo, gosh, probably a year and a half ago now. In Van Richten's guide, it recommended the Druid stat block for Jen and the Veteran stat block for Laurie. What I did in my game is I used Veteran for Laurie, but I gave her a magic sword from the old lore. But for Jen, instead of the just standard Druid stat block, I found a Druid NPC stat block from another 5e source. I think it was Acquisitions Incorporated, and I tweaked that. Jen is the fated ally in my post-Curse of Strahd wider Ravenloft domain hopping campaign that I run for my players almost once a week. So I've gotten to know that stat block pretty well, and I talk more about all that in the dedicated video about them. But now they have official stat blocks, and I'll start with Jen, which is the more complicated of the two. She's got good stats. Her highest two stats are Intelligence and Wisdom. Her lowest two are Strength and Charisma, but they're a 10, so they're still average. Suppressed Lycanthropy. If reduced to 0 HP, she becomes a werewolf. That's pretty cool. It says in both Van Richten's guide and the Horrors Within lore that she suspects she has lycanthropy from a run-in with a werewolf. Multi-attack is 2 attacks, choosing from Blessed Dagger or Radiant Wisp. Blessed Dagger is piercing radiant damage and the dagger can be thrown. And Radiant Wisp is a ranged attack dealing radiant damage. Esoteric Ward, is recharge ability is sort of like a radiant 15-foot blast from her that causes radiant damage. And if any of the targets are undead, they're stunned for a turn with no saving throw, it's automatic. So handy to do if she's surrounded by undead but not allies, otherwise she might hurt them in a friendly fire type way. And spellcasting, she has the light and mending cantrips, plus locate animals or plants, a magic circle, and protection from poison she can cast each once per day. And a bonus action called Occult Aid. Van Richten has something similar. I talked about that in a video where I talked about his new stat block. In her version, she can cast Healing Word twice a day. Pretty handy. It's very druid focused. She's got attacks that are effective against the undead, and she can heal people or herself. Just make sure she doesn't fall to 0 HP. And lastly, Laurie Weathermay-Foxgrove. She has more HP and a higher AC than Jen. She has good stats too. Her highest 2 are Strength and Constitution. Her lowest 2 are Intelligence and Charisma, but they're both 10, so not too bad. She's got a very uncomplicated stat block, which is always nice. Multi-attack is 2 attacks with her +1 longsword that's called Gossamer, or she can use a light crossbow. Gossamer is slashing and radiant damage. It was her Uncle George's sword. And this, I think, is new. Flavortext says that according to family legend, it contains the soul of a heroic Weathermay ancestor. That could be fun homebrew for a DM to play with, potentially. And the light crossbow does piercing and radiant damage. And she has a reaction, Deflect Blow. If someone attacks her or someone within 5 feet of her, she can reduce the damage of the attack by 1d10. And the flavor text also says she has 2 foxhounds called Joan and Tyrion. I believe that was also the case in Van Richten's guide. And that's it. That's all the new stat blocks in the Horrors Within completed. What do you think? What's your favourite? Did I get anything wrong? Please let me know in the comments. So upcoming videos, the next Curse of Strahd one will be an analysis of Strahd's new stat block from the Horrors Within compared to his old one in Curse of Strahd. This new one is essentially the 5.5e version. But I guess where it gets complicated is Curse of Strahd has certain stipulations. Can they or should they carry across? Because, you know, it is 5.5e and Curse of Strahd was written for 5e, the original rules. So I'll talk about that in the video. And then I've got more of the Horrors Within videos planned. I'm going to do the suggestions of how to use the Taroka deck in the Horrors Within and kind of do some test draws and see what it's like. I'd probably do a run through of Shadows of Sithicus, which is the sort of, it's not Adventurers League, is it? Someone did tell me it was something else, but it's kind of like a sort of group play activity that covers 4 domains of dread. So I'll go through it and sort of dig out if there's anything useful for if you're running those 4 domains potentially. I was potentially going to do an overview of the Dungeon Master's actual play, where the characters in the actual play went to Sithicus and Innsmouth, and talk about what it's like and talk about stuff that might be handy from that. If you want to support me, I have a membership. It's a bit like Patreon, but it's YouTube's own thing. You can get access to videos early. I do some members-only videos. You can get discounts on my DM Guild resources. I have 3 at the moment, but I plan to do more. And a whole bunch of other perks as well. Plus, I'm going to launch some new tiers soon. And we leave it there. Thanks for watching.